Somebody trying to open packaging while someone else mutters in the background. Homemade sound effects are the best, of course. How easy was it to get into your breakfast this morning? Did you spin the cereal bag on the end of your finger before teasing it open with your fingertips and sprinkling it into your bowl with a big grin on your face? Or, like me, did you have a prolonged battle to get into the milk that led you to knocking your glasses off, failed to open the corner of the cereal bag for 10 minutes until you snap and bite it with your teeth, between very bad swear words and emit a loud, well, war cry before running across the kitchen and stabbing the vacuum-packed bacon packet with a bread knife? Can I tell you, I thought I was the only one who spent their life unable to open anything. Me trying to get into fruit and nut these days. What have they done with that packaging? You used to be able to just pull it apart. No, now there's a little tab thing on the back, and then I can never work it out, and I spent 10 minutes getting into it. Terry Wogan is appearing on Room 101 next week. He's going to rant about packaging, ridiculous packaging, in particular. Well, now Terry's into his 70s. He's not old or infirm. He says he just can't get into tins of sardines, toothbrushes, or safety bottles. He's right. This may sound naff to you, but by God he's right, and it's been annoying me for ages. And so I'm going to find out if it's just me and Terry, or if it's you as well. Why are we putting up with all this packaging rubbish? Would you tell me what you can't get into, darling? What product packaging drives you insane because it's so hard to open? 0191 232 6565 on the phone, BBC, and then your message to 81333. For me, it is the hard plastic coverings to, you know, like an HDMI lead or something you buy in those electrical stores. You have to, well, I've been doing it with my kitchen scissors, which are now blunt. So I want to know from you, what do you find difficult to get into? Mouthwash bottles. They have this annoying plastic coating on, which if you've just put hand cream on, you can't open if it's a new bottle. Do you know what I mean? So what product packaging drives you insane because it's hard to open? 0191 232 6565 on the phone, BBC, and then your message to 81333 at BBC Newcastle. I have a man here, not packaged as far as I'm aware, but he might have some answers. Ian Bates is from a company called Less Packaging, who say they're determined to revolutionise not just my breakfast, but packaging in general. Ian, thanks for coming on.
Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for having me.
Some of these things are so annoying. Why are some products so hard to open?
Oh, I totally agree with you. Frustrating packaging is the bane of everybody's life. There's a reason for over-packaging and this blister plastic packaging you referred to. It's about security and about stopping consumers tampering with a product, or even, dare I say it, pinching a product from the store or in transit.
So those leads which I talk about, let's say, or electrical products, they come in those almost moulded plastic things to stop people nicking them.
Partly that, and also partly, bear in mind, we buy with our eyes, and clear plastic is a great way of making visible packaging. But the problem is it's not consumer friendly.
Yeah, but who does the survey to say this is easy or difficult to get into? I mean, surely somebody will know that it's going to naff off consumers.
Well, yeah, I think brand owners and retailers know this. I know of retailers, we're working with retailers to try and design out plastic moulded packaging, or packaging that's difficult to separate from paper and cardboard or other sustainable alternatives. I mean, we have to have some packaging, that's a given, otherwise we'll get product damage, but we need to have less packaging, minimal.
Yes, now absolutely, because there's some things which are boxed and then styrofoamed and then cardboarded, then plastic bagged, then enough already.
It is. Well, you know, we've just done a huge project for a large retailer which will remain nameless because we're far too discreet to name names. But we've just been redesigning their toy packaging to remove all those annoying twisty ties and metal screws and plastic mouldings to end up with one material cardboard, which is easy to make, it makes the product look great, and then it's easy to flatten and recycle at most people's homes. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to persuade retailers and brands to be sensible about their packaging. And do you know what? It saves money as well. It reduces the cost of these things. So it's sensible.
Kids' toys are a nightmare. Christmas morning you need a toolkit, says Stu, who's in Gosforth. And the girls went out yesterday and bought some stuff for me to open. We didn't go out and buy HDMI leads, they're the worst. But I've got a little duck here, which is a kid's toy. Seems a shame to rip it, but I'm going to see how easy it is. Because, well, it's got cardboard packaging, the duck is sitting there open, and it's got a cable tie on it.
Oh.
So, hang on. Ouch! Oh. Right, so there's one bit of packaging. And then that's the other bit. Then there's a bit of plastic. I don't know what that plastic does. Hang on a minute here. There's some plastic.
You haven't removed your finger yet?
No, not yet, but I don't know, apart from strangling the duck, how I'm going to get the cable tie off. And I cut my nails last night. Oh, there we go. I've done it. Oh. Okay, that's not too bad. So this is a duck which... well, basically changes temperature to make sure you're not burning a baby's bottom. So one open duck. Should I, no? All right. I've got another one which I can, which I might open in a minute. But would you tell me about hair dryers?
Hair dryers. What a classic. If you go into a supermarket and open up a hair dryer or a curling tongs pack, you'll probably find that 50% of the pack is air. Now ask yourself, why is that the case? The reason for it is that the bigger the packaging, the higher the perceived value. Now, brand owners and retailers are starting to realise that the consumer is not completely daft. That transporting air, usually from China, is a waste of resources and money. But of course, you know, if you've got one brand against another sat on a supermarket shelf, they're competing for the shout factor, you know, the buy me factor. So if you've got a small pack versus a large pack, the theory goes that the consumer will think that the bigger pack is more valuable.
Yeah, that's so right. I would do that. I would do that.
Yeah, but it's not always the case, you know.
A friend of mine says when I go into some of these computer stores, it's almost like my form of nookie. Because just the big colour boxes with a printer in, I'm like, oh, I want one. So the way you work is different to anybody else, I think.
Yeah, we use a process we call pre-cycling, which is looking at the entire supply chain, right the way from raw materials through to the end of life, or cradle to cradle, as we like to term it. So we're trying to design out the waste before it actually happens. So it's thinking about every single stage, from shipping to delivery to opening to recycling and separating those waste components. Because when you mix waste, it's worth nothing. If you keep the waste separate, so if you keep the plastic and the paper and the board separate, it's actually worth something. You can easily then recycle it. If you've got mixed waste, plastic stuck to board, guess where it ends up?
Where?
Landfill.
Right.
We don't want landfill because it costs a lot of money, and it's something that we're going to leave for future generations. So it's sensible that we try and design with materials that are renewable and sustainable and easy to recycle.
So Lisa on Facebook says bottles and jars with screw lids are the worst, but then everything is difficult when you've got arthritis. Don't these companies who you talk to understand that somebody with arthritis isn't going to be able to open a bottle top very easily?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, trying to design a pilfer-proof pack which is safe and keeps the product clean and airtight, etc. It is difficult. There's no sort of simple solution for all of these things.
So I know there's a company who make razors. They're very famous. They have cottoned on to what you want, which is less packaging.
Yeah, interesting, the company, I won't mention the name, but they've recently changed the PVC, polyvinyl chloride, plastic mouldings to use pulp moulded bamboo. So, I mean, you know, it's a step in the right direction, shall we say. Okay.
Got a toothbrush here, and if you don't see the tag on the bottom which says easy open, you're going to be fiddling and trying to get your nail in the top, which I can't do very well. But so we get naffed off about this packaging finally. So I've got into the toothbrush. We should have had one of the HDMI cable things, because they are the worst.
Or have you heard about the blister pack scissors?
Blister pack scissors?
Which you need a pair of scissors to open.
A blister pack scissors? No, really. Well, you just end up stabbing it. I mean, I use forks and knives and everything. It just...
Yeah.
If you are somebody who's listening to this and you've got a particular pet hate, razors, milk cartons, HDMI cables, or whatever it happens to be in the electrical line, or because obviously electric retailing has gone up quite a bit over the past 6 months in the spends, can we whinge at someone? Can someone do something about it?
Yeah, I would suggest you do two things. One, you can write to or contact trading standards. I mean, there are laws in place to cover things like essential requirements, which means that a brand owner or a retailer or an importer has to demonstrate why they've used the amount of packaging that they've used. And if they can't demonstrate that, they could end up being in a lot of trouble. So trading standards is one route. Or the other route, if you want to get sort of a quick reaction, tweet it. Put it out out on the web. Because I can assure you, if you put the name of the brand or the name of the retailer, there will be a reaction. Because these companies do listen.
Thank you very much indeed. One of my friends in Manchester, he's in Whitefield at the moment, he's listening. What I'm going to do. Thank you, Adam. And thank you, Ian Bates. And if you could definitely sort out HDMI cables, I would appreciate it immensely.
We'll get straight onto it.
Thank you. Otherwise, there'll be another retailer going bust.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you so much.
All the best.
It's weird, actually. It's one of those things. You know, when you've been wondering about something for a while, and then somebody says, let's talk about packaging, and you go, oh, yes! Now, I know it seems naff, and you probably don't even think about it if you're 21 or something, but when you're our age, pet, let me tell you, and if you've cut your nails, you can't get into something, and it's a complete nightmare. But I do like big coloured boxes. Anyway, we've been talking about packaging. We're going to move on. I hope that helped you. We're going to move on and talk about rainfall. They've just released figures about the last